Okay, so when you hear the term value engineering, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it just sounds like, another buzzword from a business textbook. But what if I told you it's actually a really powerful, systematic way of thinking? Something that can literally change the way you look at and solve problems. Let's really dig in and see what this thing is all about.
Right off the bat, let's tackle the biggest misconception out there. People hear value and immediately think, oh, this is just a fancy way to cut costs. But that's not just wrong, it actually misses the entire point. In fact, you'll see it's pretty much the opposite of what this whole system is trying to do.
And here's where you can really see the huge difference in mindset. Cost cutting, right? It's all about one question. How can we spend less money? And you know where that usually leads? You start sacrificing quality or performance or both. But value engineering asks a much smarter question. It asks, how can we improve the ratio of what something does to what it costs? See the difference? The goal isn't just to be cheaper. The goal is to be better.
So to really get a grip on this, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the core equation of value. Then we'll get into the specific way of thinking it demands. We'll look at the structured plan for putting it into action, talk about proactive versus reactive timing, see how it plays with other systems, and finally, we'll put that whole picture together.
All right, first up, the equation of value. Everything, and I mean everything we're going to talk about starts right here, with one fundamental relationship that drives every single decision.
And here it is, value equals function divided by cost. Now, that looks almost too simple, right? But trust me, the absolute genius of this whole methodology is hiding in plain sight, packed inside what each of those three little words really means.
So let's start with value. This is the first big shift in thinking. In this system, value isn't some vague, subjective idea like, I value this car. No, it's a specific, measurable ratio. It's all about figuring out the absolute lowest cost to reliably deliver the functions you need, without, and this is key, without ever sacrificing quality.
Okay, now for the top part of our equation, function. Honestly, this is where the magic really starts to happen. We're not talking about the object itself, we're talking about what the object does. What's its core purpose? What's the essential work it performs? It's literally the reason it even exists.
And finally, let's look at the bottom of the fraction, cost. And again, this isn't just the sticker price. We're talking about the total life cycle cost. That's every single penny from the moment it's designed and built, through all the years of operating it and maintaining it, right up to the day you have to dispose of it. It is the whole financial story, from beginning to end.
All right, so now that we have the formula down, let's get into the part that really unlocks the innovation here. This is the mental shift that takes this from just an equation on a slide to a whole new way of seeing things.
And this is it. The key is to force yourself to stop looking at the object and start seeing the function. The whole discipline really hangs on this one mental leap. You've got to train your brain to look past the physical thing and ask, what is its real purpose? What's the essential work being done here?
This is a perfect example. On the left, you see a hammer. That's what it is. But on the right, you see what it does. It applies force and it drives nails. And once you start defining things that way, well, everything changes. You're no longer stuck trying to design a better hammer. You're now free to dream up totally new ways to apply force or drive nails. And that's where the real breakthroughs come from.
Now, to make sure this isn't just some fuzzy, abstract idea, we use a really specific tool for it. It's a simple syntax. You define the function with an active verb plus a measurable noun. This isn't just being picky about grammar, It's a tool that forces you to be incredibly clear and precise. It gets rid of all the ambiguity, so a whole team of people can be on the exact same page about what problem they're trying to solve. Okay, so we have this powerful way of thinking, but how do we actually apply it? Well, we don't just wing it. There's a formal, structured process, a roadmap, really, that takes you all the way from defining the problem to getting a solution implemented.
And this is it. This is the structured job plan. Now, I know it might look a little complicated at first glance, but it's really just a super organized way to apply common sense and technical skill. It's the system that makes sure all that creative energy actually gets channeled into something useful, something that makes a real contribution. And it all flows in a really logical order. First, you gather all the information you can get your hands on. Then you do that critical function analysis we were just talking about. Only then do you start the creativity phase, brainstorming new ideas. After that, you evaluate those ideas, develop the best ones into real, fleshed-out proposals, and finally, you present them to get the green light.
Okay, this next part is absolutely crucial from a strategic point of view, because using this methodology isn't just about how you do it, it's about when you do it. And trust me, the timing changes everything.
So take a look at this timeline. When you use this whole approach way back in the design phase, before anything is even built, that's called value engineering. It's proactive. But if you apply it to a product that's already out there, that already exists, that's called value analysis, and that's reactive.
And that difference in timing leads to a totally different focus. Proactive value engineering is all about value improvement. It's about designing the absolute best thing you can, right from the very beginning. Reactive value analysis, on the other hand, tends to be more about cost reduction. You're looking for savings in something that's already made. So one leads to fundamental design changes. The other, well, it usually just leads to a list of potential cost savings.
So why is this timing so important? Well, check this out. A staggering 80% of a product's entire life cycle costs is baked in during the design stage. Think about that for a second. That's a huge deal. It means your biggest chance to create real value isn't on the factory floor or in the sales department. It's right at the very beginning, on the drawing board. Doing this proactively is pretty much the most powerful strategic move you can make.
Now, it's also important to remember that this whole methodology doesn't exist in a bubble. It's actually a key piece in a much bigger toolkit for improvement, and it works incredibly well alongside other frameworks.
And here is probably the clearest way to think about where it fits. Value engineering asks the question, are we designing the right thing? Are we even focused on the right solution? Then, a framework like Lean Six Sigma comes in and asks, are we making the thing right? Are we doing it efficiently with high quality? They're perfect partners. One sets the destination, the other makes sure the journey is as smooth as possible.
All right, so we've kind of taken the whole system apart, piece by piece. Now let's put it all back together and look at the full picture with a new level of clarity.
This quote really nails why that structured job plan is so important. A brilliant idea unsold is a brilliant idea wasted. See, the process isn't just about having a fun brainstorming session. Those later steps, development and presentation, they're all about turning a great idea into a convincing proposal that actually gets approved and implemented. It's what makes sure your creativity actually leads to something real.
And so we come all the way back to where we started, with this simple little formula. But it doesn't seem so simple anymore, does it? Because now you know that value is a specific ratio. You know that function is a disciplined way of looking at the world. And you know that cost covers the entire life cycle. It's not just an equation. It's a complete system for making things better, systematically. So the only question left is, what problem are you going to see differently now?